Sometimes it does.
Muted. You're muted. You're muted. I think you are.
Wait, can you hear me now?
I got you. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, and my mic was acting up, and then my computer's a little slow. So if there's any Wi-Fi connection things during this stream, that is why. So I apologize ahead of time. I've had problems with that. But anyways, everyone, welcome to another episode of the Camper Report. Today we have a guest that's been on the show quite a few times, but not for, I don't know, it's been 6, 7, maybe even 8 months, almost a year.
Been a while.
So, yeah, it has. So welcome everyone. Jessie Naylor. You can find him at jnay _ LSS on Twitter. Just type up Jessie Naylor. And then Last Second Sports on YouTube. How are you doing today, Jessie?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Yeah, you're right. It's been a while. And at your age, every time I see you, it's like you've completely grown up. So it's kind of fun to like watch the phases of Camper Report and how you change. So
it's crazy to go back a year and a half ago when I first started and see that I'm a whole different person. So it's crazy. Brian Culp here coming in and saying, smash that like button, faithful, and share with everyone. Thank you. But let's get right into it. The 49ers restructure Jimmy G's contract. And obviously this came out a few days ago. A lot of people, everyone's heard about this. But what will they do with the money? What are your initial reactions to this? I know some people were mad. Some people were good. Some people were happy. But what are your initial thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like if I would have told myself a week ago that this was going to happen, that I would have been pissed about it.
Yeah.
But when it actually happened, I started to look at it for all the positive reasons. Like, you have arguably the best backup quarterback in the league just in case something happens. You saved yourself a ton of money. There's a lot of good from this. Now, after I took a step back, I started to look at some of the things that could go wrong. Certainly, you could cause a rift in the locker room. And if Trey Lance doesn't look good right away, is there that knee-jerk reaction to pull him out and put in Jimmy? But really, I think most of this is positive. I really do. I think for me, this outcome, the more that I look at it, shouldn't have been a surprise. It really shouldn't have been. Like, Jimmy wasn't going to find a new team. We heard today that Sudfeld would have had a trade partner, or the 49ers would have had a trade partner with Sudfeld if they had just kept him because Detroit wanted to trade for him. And it sounds like they're going to sign him. So, like, that's where they were at with Jimmy. Nobody was in a trade for Jimmy, not for that contract. For him, it makes a lot of sense to continue being a backup. And by reworking it, this is something that I think a lot of people are still somehow overlooking. You have the opportunity to continue to try to shop him. Now it becomes a lot more manageable, that contract, to trade him if a quarterback goes down or a team gets desperate. So I think there's a lot of positive that comes out of this, certainly.
I agree. And I think, like, when this news came out, a lot of people were thinking, okay, this has to be a knock on Trey. I don't think it was a knock on Trey at all. I think it was a knock. They didn't get cold feet on Trey. They got cold feet on the O-line. I think that's really what happened. And it's the style that they run. I think they're looking at a point of view that I think, and Chris Sims said this as well. I kind of completely agree with him. The style that they run, they're looking at a way at, like, they're looking at how do I say this? They're looking at a way of the 49ers. Trey Lance is bound to miss a few games. I think it makes sense because Purdy, Sudfeld, I don't know. I just don't think they're very intrigued by that aspect. And if Trey Lance even misses 3 games, the 49ers might be out of this playoff contention. So I think it not only makes sense, but a lot of people were mad at the beginning, and in a way, I kind of agree with them. But I think this move, as the days go on, makes more sense as it goes on. So
Yeah, 100% certainly. And the second half of this question here is what will they do with the money? I don't know for sure, but I'll tell you what it does do. Gives them the flexibility to go out and make some moves to go all in, right? And I think a lot of fans this offseason were pretty frustrated with not going all in, quote unquote all in. They have the opportunity to still do that. They really do. Much like 2019, if you remember, they made that Super Bowl run. They started out on fire. Nobody expected them to do what they did, and once they realized, like, oh, wow, we've got a Super Bowl caliber team, we're young at the wide receiver position. It was Debo's first year. They didn't have a ton of talent there. Let's go trade for Emmanuel Sanders and go, quote unquote, all
right.
in. So they now have that flexibility to do just that with the finances that are now available to them that were not available to them before. So I like this move for multiple reasons.
Yeah, it's a good thing, and honestly, I think O-line during the year that they have now I think they're going to save that money, either roll it over or save it for like you said, trade deadline. If they see that the O-line is absolutely atrocious, which I think it will be, then they're going to save it for that deadline, and maybe the Niner, and maybe they'll get a trade with the Patriots or something for an offensive lineman, which would be great. So
Yeah,
uh
I mean, Win is out there, right?
yeah.
They might need a right tackle. We'll see how healthy McGlinchey is. Wynn is out there. Dillard for the Eagles is out there. They could go get either one of those guys, and I'd feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Let's see here. So obviously we're talking about Jimmy Garoppolo, and honestly, it's a good move. So, but what made the 49ers, I should rephrase this question. Made the 49ers change their minds on Sudfeld? Because they paid him 2 million guaranteed to be their backup, and now they cut him. What made them change their minds from now until since March?
Yeah, I think a few things. Well, first of all, like the obvious one is Jimmy Garoppolo, right? I don't think
Right.
they had no shot in their minds at keeping Jimmy Garoppolo and making this work for both teams. So once you do that, you now have the veteran presence you need to sit behind Trey Lance and help him, right?
Right.
So I think that's one. I think also Purdy came in and probably surprised them a bit. Like Purdy played pretty damn good. And to me, when you look at it, it sounds like they were going to make Purdy the backup
Yeah.
based off of what they had said. I think they probably would have kept Sudfeld though if Jimmy
Yeah.
wasn't here, because I still think they want that veteran presence in the locker room, somebody to help out. And I don't think having Purdy, who's a rookie, sitting behind a second year player is the best way to maximize Trey's
Yeah.
mental capacity, right? And getting through this. So I think that ultimately, once they got that veteran in the locker room, which was Jimmy in the quarterback
Yeah.
room, it's like, well, let's keep Purdy, who can be our backup for cheap for the next 4 years. Let him sit and be third string. Once Jimmy's gone this year, he moves up to number 2 in the depth chart. We now have a year 3 quarterback and a year 2 quarterback. We're good to go. And so I think that's ultimately what kind of led to the decision there.
Purdy reminds me, and I know a ton of people have said this. He reminds me so much of Mullins. Mullins
But
had,
mobile, right?
yeah, Mullins had the height, but and yeah, both of them have a lot of heart, and I'm gonna be excited. Real quick, if I didn't mention it though, Jimmy Garoppolo 6.5, and you guys all know this, 6.5 million guaranteed, can be up to $7 million, which makes him the highest paid backup. Which I don't hate that. And I think real quick on the Jimmy thing again, I think this what made sense for both sides. I think Jimmy I think he looked around the league, said everyone has a starting quarterback. Nobody, obviously, they haven't been able to trade me because nobody's really interested to give me the money I want and to give the 49ers the picks they want. And so I think you keep as a backup for a year. You stay as a backup for a year, and then next year, if you do play a few games this year, you can have a chance to prove yourself that you still are a really good quarterback. And then next year, you go out and you find one of the million teams that need a quarterback every year.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
just my That's why I think it was a good business decision for both sides.
Yeah, and if he does get traded, by the way, he has a lot of incentives in that contract just by playing games and starting this year.
Yeah.
So if he goes to another team, let's say week 3, and starts the rest of the season, he's going to make a hell of a lot more than $7 million. I mean, he's going to make
Yeah.
14 million or so. So great way that they worked out the contract. Great for both sides. I think that this is a win-win.
Yeah, it is. It is. Let's move on to the more interesting, and I called it though. So when they at first made these signings with the 53, and we'll get into the 53-man roster in just a second, but when they first made these signings, I called it. I said earlier on, I wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers get 6 running backs and keep 6 running backs. At first that was true, and then they cut Trey Sermon a day later. So the 49ers picked up Blake Hance, right guard, has played both right guard and tackle, started a few games last year for the Browns. Will add good depth and probably, I would say, start sometime this year. Has he played mostly on the right side? Do you know? I think so.
He played some left tackle last year.
Oh, so he can play
So
left side too.
he sounds like he can play all 5 positions, and that's the versatility they need in case they have some injuries. So, it sounds like PFF to me is not gospel, but I really
Yeah.
do kind of lean on them when it comes to offensive line because
Yeah.
I just don't watch offensive line like that. Like that's not my jam. So when I look at it, they say he's a really good run blocker, not so much of a pass blocker. So, but you're getting somebody who can start and play at all 5 positions. Just that versatility, I think, is extremely important and probably better than some of the other options they have. So, bringing in Hance, I think, is great. And then, you talked about the running backs. I thought Sermon was going to get cut. I had Sermon and
Yeah.
Hasty as my 2 cuts. And then when they kept 6 running backs, if you include Juszczyk,
Yeah.
that's when I was like, hold on, like they're going to have 4 tight ends and 6
Yeah.
backs. This is a lot. And I think that strategically doing what they did with Sermon was smart.
Was smarter. Yeah.
Because what they've done is that first wave of everybody getting cut, that's when everybody goes and picks and picks and picks.
Yeah.
And now they've got their roster set, right? And their practice squads. And then they go, oh, by the way, we're just going to sneak him through waivers and hopefully he makes it through. If he does, they'll probably bring him back and that'll be that. So we'll see what happens with Sermon. 3rd round pick though, can't even make the team. That's rough, man. That's really rough.
I mean, I liked him at Ohio State, but I guess you've got to go in context. Like I remember watching him against Northwestern, which Northwestern is nothing compared to the NFL. But even against Clemson, like this guy shredded the Clemson defense. Like really was impressive. And I thought he was going to be a good running back when we drafted him. I really do. And maybe he'll find a home somewhere else where he can flourish. And I mean, Blake Hance, I think he could potentially end up starting at left guard or right tackle during the year. I think this is a really good move, and they need to keep extra linemen on the roster. I think it was initially 8 on the roster, right? Oh, hold on. Yeah. And
sorry. No. Sorry. It was my mic.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good.
Yeah, it was. And normally we're used to them keeping 10. So
yeah. Oh, yeah. True. True.
First of all, they did less defensive linemen than what they normally do. Now they've come back and rectified that because they brought back Willis, right? So, but they kept more linebackers than normal, more tight ends, more running backs, more quarterbacks, and then cut down at wide receiver, defensive back, defensive line, and offensive line. I was like, this is the strangest roster construction I've ever seen. Now, today, now that we have a day to look at it and see the actual moves that they made, whole different deal. This is pretty much the roster construction that a lot of us kind of saw coming.
Yeah, that's a good point. Waruna Pereira says, yo, Tony Culp, never seen you in the chat before. So salute to you. You have 2 new subscribers. Good job. Keep up the great content. Thank you so much. Yeah, so let's get into the grading the 49ers 53-man roster. And let's start with the quarterbacks. What are your, do you want to start offense or defense first?
It doesn't. Let's do offense. Let's start it with quarterbacks.
Yeah. So yeah, what do you grade the quarterbacks for this off season and how they handled things? Basically, that's grading quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, just from a pure talent standpoint, not looking at the foreseeable issues that could happen, you got to give it an A plus. Like you
Yeah,
get a quarterback that's ranked, I don't know, 7.
hold on. Can you still hear me?
It might be on my end, bud. It might be on my end. Yeah. My mic, I don't know what's going on. It's like it's overheating and messing up. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so when I look at the whole room, I think A plus. Can you hear me? Okay. You're muted now. You're muted, but
Okay. I'm back. I think it was my mic. I'm so sorry, everyone. Keep going.
it was 100% my mic kept saying it's disconnected. So I don't know what's going on.
Okay. Well,
Here, let me do this.
yeah, I'm so sorry, everyone, for this connection. My mic has a weird cord anyways, so it definitely is probably mine.
Boom. That should solve my problem with my mic. So there we go.
Cool. Yeah, I'll go while you're still getting set up. I'll go with my grades. I'd say B plus. I think there's still a lot of unknowns. Obviously, I don't think they lost confidence in Lance. I think he has a very long leash. I think Lance is going to have a lot of chances this year. I think Jimmy Garoppolo, we've talked about him already, but I don't think this is going to be the situation where it kind of was last year. Like, I think Lance, they're still going to give him a lot of chances. I think they've realized, like, yes, Jimmy Garoppolo's a backup, but we need to ride with this guy, not Jimmy Garoppolo. So we need to ride him out through the season. I think that's going to be, I would give him a B plus, just because I think there's a lot of unknowns, and who knows what Jimmy Garoppolo will be through that shoulder surgery. So if Trey Lance were to go out, but yeah, B plus. I think there's athleticism, there's veteranship, there's a promising new rookie. So you have to consider that B plus for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, so I'll try to recap here just real quick. For me, I gave it an A because A or A plus. I could go either way because you do have the veteran. You have the third overall pick, who's now sat a year. Hopefully he comes out guns blazing. And then you do have the young quarterback that you took in round 7 that is going to be your future backup probably for the next 4+ years. So I think overall did a fantastic job.
Yeah. Totally agree with you there. Let's go to running backs then. I got him in A minus. They have some bruisers. I think they're probably gonna Jeff Wilson, probably gonna be the receiving back. And then definitely a good move with Jordan Mason. Loved that. They did the right thing, which is good. I think they put their pride aside with Trey Sermon. They realized, okay, this was a bad move. Hopefully they'll put their pride aside, or we don't really know with Aaron Banks, but I don't know, man. Hopefully they'll figure something out with him soon. But yeah, I think injury issues is the only thing that knocks him back a little bit. I think Elijah Mitchell missing time. Elijah Mitchell could miss time. Wilson could. I mean, he's been injury prone in the past. So because of that, I got to give him an A minus. Still a very deep group. They've still got Kyle Juszczyk, which you don't see really except from Wilson, you don't see a really true receiving back. So maybe they use Juszczyk a little bit more this year. So yeah, A minus, I got him at.
Yeah, and the thing is with me though is that I really think Elijah Mitchell can be a good receiver out of the backfield.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he caught most of the passes thrown his way. There just wasn't a lot. And I really thought that in that NFC Championship game that they would utilize Mitchell and Debo out of the backfield as pass catchers and really take advantage of the linebackers in that matchup with the Rams. And it just never came to fruition. But I think for me, obviously you don't have that main guy, right? Like that one guy that's just like, wow, this guy's top 10, top 12 in the league. So because of that, I can't give it a full A. You also spent some third round picks on some backs, one that you just cut, another one. We'll see how it pans out. But overall, I have to give it a solid B. I think they've got a very good running back room. It's just not great. Now, Shanahan may make it look great because he's that good, but overall, they don't have that just amazing go-to back that you're like, this guy is a bona fide star in this league. So I'll give it a solid B.
And last year, what was the room last year? You had a Mitchell,
Mostert.
Wilson. Oh, Mostert. Yeah, forgot about
but
that.
Mostert went down right away, remember?
Yeah. There was a ton of guys who went down in that week 1 game versus Detroit. You had Verrett, Mostert, Wilson, and then who was the other guy?
Sermon,
and then that's it.
And that was it, yeah.
Dang. So I think we kind of have built depth. And honestly, like, even though TDP didn't have the greatest preseason, he had showed flashes. And I think, like, Trey Sermon, you saw 1 year out of him. TDP, still a rookie. I think he could be a bruiser in this system. And I think he did show some decisiveness in those preseason games that there's something to look forward to there. So I wouldn't write him off just yet either. And I think he could be a good running back as well. And he fits the system for sure. So
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I am Bryant Culp's wife. We both subscribed. Thank you. David Villa, now a regular on the show. What up, Faithfuls, Camper, and Jay Nay? What is up? I love this guy. Or not. Well, always in the chat. Thank you for the support. Love the support. So let's go to the wide receivers, though. What are your grades for them? They only kept 5 this year, though.
They did, but they brought Turner back on the practice squad.
Right.
Which was huge. Turner was a guy that I thought earned a spot on this team because he's a really good special teamer. I mean, you got to remember, they went in and brought multiple guys to play special teams this year to really shore things up. I thought he looked like by far and away the best special teamer on this team. I mean, he made flash play after flash play, great gunner, forced a fumble in one of the preseason games, and not a bad receiver. If you remember 2019, that overtime loss to Seattle, he had a big third down conversion in that game for the Seahawks. So, for me, now that he's back, I got to give it a full on A. I mean, Gray's looks like he's turned into something. Debo, that's the one question I have. Yeah. Is he in great shape? How's that going to look? Him and Trey don't seem to have the best continuity yet. But overall, I think this receiving room can be really good, and I got to give it an A.
Yeah, I got him at an A+ because I think they've got meaning speed this year. I feel like last year they tried to add speed with Benjamin, but he's not that good. This year they've actually made it a priority. They've got height with Jennings. They've got Debo, if he can get back to it, that's very versatile. They've got Brennan Ayuk, who has the most chemistry with Trey Lance by far. And then I like the 5 receiver thing because I really didn't see after this. Like, I think the 49ers were confident that they could actually bring another receiver onto the practice. They could hide somebody away or whatever. Nobody was like definitively good enough for them to keep a 6th receiver. So I'm glad that they kept 5. Ray McLeod, good speedster as well. Danny Gray, obviously, like you said, will have a role in this offense. So I like what they did here. A+. And it could downgrade as the year goes on if Debo can't get his legs under him, but I think they will. And I think a lot of people are thrown off by what he did in the Texans game with that he couldn't separate or whatever. I think Kyle Shanahan has a lot in store. I think he has a lot in store for this offense. He has a lot to do with Debo, even though he's maybe bigger, a little less fast than Debo. And we have the security blank of those first 2 weeks of having both like a bad Bears team and terrible quarterbacks with the Seahawks. So he has a few weeks, like 3 weeks to get his legs under him. I think this is going to be a really good offense with these 5 receivers. I didn't see the meaning of keeping a 6th. So yeah.
A lot of versatility too. I mean, you look at Ray in high school, he was the state's leading rusher here in Tampa, Florida. Right. Yeah. So, I mean, he was a running back in high school. A lot of versatility there, obviously special teams. I mean, you can get some interesting lineups out there. I mean, imagine lining up Debo in the backfield with Trey And then you've got Ray coming on an end around. Like there's just a lot of crazy things you can do, a lot of mixing and matching you can do. And you're right. Last year when Benjamin got on the field, everybody cringed, right?
Yeah.
Danny Gray gets on the field. I don't think many people are cringing, right? Because we've seen it. We've already seen the explosiveness. So yeah, I like this receiver room an awful lot.
Yeah, and I feel like last year, one more thing I'll say on this before we move on. I feel like we've had these players on this, like the receiving core. We've had 6 receivers for most of the. I feel like the last receiver has kind of been, like I said before, meaningless. Travis Benjamin, guys like that. That I don't think.
Sanu.
Yeah, Sanu. Like, so I think it's good that we kept it decisive. We kept 5 receivers. We didn't keep any more than we needed to. Like I said before, yeah, great room here. Let's get on to tight ends. This is. I'm interested to see your grade because I didn't really have him that high. What's your grade on this one?
Yeah, it's interesting because today Howard became a free agent.
Yeah.
And he ended up with the Bengals, I believe. So he went from Tom Brady to Josh Allen in the preseason, cut, and then ended up with Joe Burrow. So great quarterbacks he's playing with, but I look at guys that are talented like that and say, gosh, man, if we had a number 2 tight end that's that talented, you really could make some noise. Now, they decided to keep 4. Initially, they kept 3. They brought Croft back.
Oh, they did. Okay. I didn't.
Yeah, they did bring him back. So they've got multiple guys that are pass catchers coming out there. We could see a lot of 2 tight end sets. I mean, we almost have to if you're keeping this many. It's all right. I mean, Kittle's great. Kittle's arguably the best tight end in the game. So with that in that room, you can't give it less than a C. I'll give it a B- because I think Dwelly's a little bit better than people give him credit for, but it's I mean, it's great because of Kittle, but Kittle goes down. It's like, nothing special here. So I'll give it a B-.
I got a C.
Okay.
I think they haven't gotten any better. So like they really are in the middle there. I wouldn't say it's terrible, but I really don't. I think if they want to get better at this position, add depth, they need to do it through the draft. Spend some, and obviously this last year, I don't blame them for not drafting a tight end. Honestly, they had so many other needs that they needed to address. Absolutely not. So I don't fall for this. I honestly still love Kittle, but getting a little bit older, getting a little bit more injured. I don't know. We'll see. This could be like, I don't want to wish this upon anybody, but this could be a position that I see later on in the year maybe being a problem halfway through the season. Because if Kittle goes down, then what exactly I don't know. They're going to have to figure something out. And he played 16 games last year? He didn't miss many.
I feel like no, he definitely 16? He missed the Arizona game for sure.
He missed
when
the Seattle game too, right? I believe. I think he missed the Seattle game because that's why I think Dwelly was out on the field, caught that touchdown, I believe, with a calf injury.
I feel like when Trey Lance came in, he threw one in the dirt to Kittle. Like his first throw, it was like a little roll off, and he threw it square in the dirt, and everybody's like, "Oh God, what a." I think that was the Kittle, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, maybe Kittle. I think Kittle actually got injured in that Seattle game and missed the Arizona game.
Maybe that's
the Arizona game was.
Oh, good call. You know what? Yep, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, I think it was because remember
he might have went on IR though and missed 3 games last year.
Really?
If I'm not mistaken.
Okay. I mean, we can look it up. I'll get to the comments while.
I'll look it up real quick.
Keep it up, Camper. You're on the way up, buddy. Thank you so much. Jane, you the man too. Yeah, go check out the show that he just did with Grant Cohn. That was great. And then go check out his show, Last Second Sports. And if you feel like call into his open mic once a week. Are you doing it this week?
Yeah, I'll do it tomorrow.
Nice.
He played 14 games, so he missed 3 games last year.
3. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. They have to let George be George. Yeah, run hard. And I don't fault them. I really don't for this grade. It's just a grade that they haven't improved on. So why give them anything higher than a C?
That's fair. No, that's totally fair.
Yeah. So let's go on to the O-line, the most intriguing position of the offseason. It's raised a lot of eyebrows for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so much like I just said, when you have a tight end room with arguably the best tight end in the league, you can't give it worse than a C.
Yeah.
I gotta say the same thing because they have the best left tackle in the league,
Yeah.
possibly, probably the best O lineman in the league. But outside of that, this thing is dog crap. Like, this is C minus
Yeah.
written all over it, right? Like, if McGlinchey's healthy, I feel a lot better about it, but I can't trust him to stay healthy. He
Yeah.
played like 8 preseason snaps, was out again. He
Looked
came
rusty.
back. Right, exactly. He came back. First practice back, they had a video of him like grimacing and looking at his knee. I can't trust it. And then if he's out, what does it look like? You've got
Browns
4 new
dude.
starters on the offensive line. You had 2 Pro Bowlers at center and left guard that are no longer on this roster. It's just not a good offensive line. Now, it may become one. There's some talent there. I'm not saying there isn't, but I don't trust it at all with Mike McGlinchey's out. So I got to give it a C minus. And realistically, I could go worse for the fact that most of us fans have been talking about this since, I don't know, February.
Yeah.
We saw this coming since February and you didn't address it and do anything more. That's where I had the issue.
Yeah. That's a good point. Quick depth chart though. We've got Trent Williams, Aaron Banks, and then we've got Poe on the practice squad. Which I think will probably, there's a matter of time before this was a great move, them cutting him, hiding him, and then just a matter of time that he gets up there. But for now, the depth chart, Trent Williams, Aaron Banks, Brendel, Burford, McGlinchey, McKivitz, Brunskill, Moore, Zakel, which I'm surprised they didn't cut more. I expected them to. Zakel, and then the guy, the Browns guy. I already
Pants or whatever. Yeah. I actually wasn't surprised they kept more. And here's the reason why. They keep playing him at tackle. But if you remember when they drafted him,
guard. Yeah.
They said guard. So why do we keep seeing him play tackle? If he's a guard, play him at guard. Right. And so to me, I feel like we haven't been given the opportunity to see him play at his natural position. And because of that, I think they see the talent there. They see the opportunity to play guard. And so for them, that's probably the way that they're looking at it.
Do you think he starts sometime this year? I wouldn't be surprised.
If he does, I hope it's not a tackle, Ben. Because if it's a tackle, he's atrocious. No. He's atrocious. So
yeah, we saw it also in that Colts game when Williams, I believe he was the starter below Will. He started for Williams last year in that Colts game. That was, oh God, that was terrible. That was terrible. I remember grimacing, and that's probably I think that's a big reason why we missed the playoffs. But I got to give him C or C minus as well. I'm going to say, I think there's going to be a lot of offensive line turnover this year. I think this is the starting lineup now: Banks, Brendel, McGlinchey, Burford, and Trent Williams. But I think there's going to be a change up in the starting lineup pretty soon. I think this is the starting lineup for now, but it's going to change. So C or C minus. There is bright spots. That's why I don't give him a D, because there is Burford. There is guys that we've picked up, and we could always trade for a guy, maybe for some type of offensive lineman at the trade deadline. So this position could improve. And then we obviously have Jason Poe on the practice squad. So decent. I'm not really decent, but yeah, I would give him a C minus as well.
Yeah, it just, it's not very good.
No. Almost game time, buddies. Can't wait. We're going to dominate. Yes.
I hope so, man. I hope so.
Week and a half, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, not this coming Sunday, the Sunday after. Yeah, we're getting close, man. David, I'm very excited as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait.
Great decision on keeping Mason. He's a beast.
Yes.
Yeah, if they would have cut him, I would have been very shocked, because that was pure talent. I mean, he was running hard. He looked really good. And the thing that I see is, like, I didn't actually fault them for cutting Hasty, because I think Hasty has that injury issue. This guy is bigger. He kind of fits that system more than Hasty did. He fits the Shanahan system. And I think he's just going to be able to do more things, and he doesn't have the injury history that Hasty does. So that's why I think they kept him over Hasty for sure. And
he's
he was
literally everything that they hoped Sermon would be.
Yeah.
But way better.
Yeah, true. Let's get to the best position on this roster, and I can name out the defensive line, but first let me name out the defensive linemen that we kept. Interesting. Jordan Willis, they kept him on IR, but right? I'm right.
No. They initially cut him and then brought him back.
Brought him back. Okay. Bosa, Kinlaw, Armstead, Sampson, Ebukam, Drake Jackson, Givens, Ridgeway, Amenihu, Hyder. My initial reaction is we only kept 4 interior defensive linemen.
Yeah, I just don't know who else you kept could keep. And here's one thing to keep in mind. I think Amenihu on third down is going to move to the inside quite a bit. I think that remember Arden Key last year, that was kind of his role. He would move to the inside. I see that for Amenihu. I really do. I think that fits him perfectly. I look at Hyder as kind of the backup to Bosa. I look at Jackson as kind of the backup to Ebukam. There's so much depth on this team. And then they did cut Ray, but decided to bring him back on the practice squad, which was a great sneaky pickup there.
So surprised they got him. I thought he was going to get picked up for sure.
I did
wow.
too. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So they were able to bring him back. And I mean, this defensive line is so good, man. It's so good. Anything other than an A+ is just straight unfair. This is an elite defensive line. And in my opinion, certainly got better from last year.
Oh, absolutely. Last year, I don't know. I think they do have the run stopping. I think Ridgeway, it's good that he didn't have any injuries in preseason the time he played, because he's been very injury prone. If he can stay healthy, that's a good run stopper there. And man, Javon Kinlaw, is this the year that we see him finally do something? He had a good preseason and didn't get injured. Looked really good, obviously, against backup. So who knows? But I'm excited. And then Drake Jackson, the edge. I think it's going to be really hard to derail this team with injuries like we did in to derail, especially this defensive line. I think is airtight. This is by far the greatest position on the team. A+ for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously this would be worst case scenario, but let's say they lost their best player on that line, which is clearly Bosa.
Yeah.
Hyder filled in without Armstead really playing, with no Kinlaw, and he was able to reel off a lot of sacks 2 years ago.
Could be that guy too, or Drake Jackson. Yeah,
exactly. So I feel like they're in a really, really good spot if something, God forbid, were to happen to any of these guys, up to and including Bosa.
Glad they kept Toure in case of injuries. Yes, Kinlaw, this is the year, amigos. I don't know. It's interesting. A lot on his shoulders, but hopefully these surgeries got him right. I hear he got another one this last season, so it's crazy though.
This is the make or break year for sure. We'll see how productive it is. I'm rooting for him. I really hope it is productive, but we'll see. You gotta show me.
Also kind of extension year. Well, they would pick up the 5th-year option, so no, it's not really an extension year,
but if he gets injured again, you're probably not picking that up.
No. And also, one more thing here. I was just thinking, now I don't want to, because this guy was a 3rd-round pick, but hopefully it doesn't turn into the situation of Jalen Hurd. So let's just hope he has a great season, because
at least he's played some snaps.
Yeah, I know. Jalen Hurd got injured instantly and then never came back on the field. We saw him for 2 drives on. Yeah, that was crazy.
He looked phenomenal, and he was supposed to be the Deebo Samuel, and it just never worked. Yeah,
man, that was crazy. That was the true definition of a player who we saw a few times and we're freaking out. This guy's really good. And then the true definition of a guy who just never figured it out. It's sad. It really is. Yeah. Really is. Because some people's careers get ruined by drugs or stuff off the field. This guy's career literally got ruined by sad. Really is.
Unfortunate. Yeah. So unfortunate.
Yeah, for sure. Let's get to linebackers though. What is your takeaway on this? And what do you grade them?
I mean, I don't know if they got better, right, from that standpoint, but how do you get arguably the best linebacking core in the league better, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they've got Azeez Al-Shaair, Greenlaw, And in fact, I think they did get better from a depth
They
piece
did. Yeah.
because they've got Robinson, who they moved to IR, but he's, I mean, every bit the body type that they look for. And they were able to get McCrary Ball back onto the practice squad. And I was big on McCrary Ball.
Yeah.
Looked fantastic during the preseason.
He did.
They have a lot of pieces. Now, one thing that's interesting about this linebacking core is both Aziz and Greenlaw could be gone after this year. I think they're in the
Right.
final year of their contracts. And so if they lose both of them, what does it look like next year? Well, now you have Robinson and you have McCrary Ball. Like this is the one position that they probably develop better than any position on the team. Whatever they decide to do there, I trust 100%.
Yeah.
plus.
I like the Flanagan Foles for sure.
Mhm.
I liked him as well. Both him and McCrary Ball. I don't know which one it was, but one of them was like, especially during the Green Bay Packers game and just basically every game, was flying around the field. Really, I like that a lot. And Oren Burks as well was doing really good. I mean, I liked what they did here. I liked the depth that they added. Last year, it was what? It was Alshire Greenlaw, who got injured, was actually dealing with injuries for half of last season. So he needs to stay healthy. That is a big thing. But
they had Flanagan Fowles and they had Marcel Harris. Remember, he transitioned from safety
but they got better with Oren Burks there, I feel like. And then Marcel Harris.
Special teams wise, for sure, too.
Yeah, they absolutely got better. And as far as in the middle, Marcel Harris was always like a guy that was smaller linebacker as well because he converted. So I don't know. I definitely think they got better. I was going to put him at a B. Hold on. B plus, but I'm going to put him at an A because I think I think injuries could still derail this linebacker core. Dre Greenlaw. I don't know what will happen. Obviously, he was injured for I don't know how many games last season, but I think he was another guy that got injured week 1, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. He had the pick 6 in week 1, and then
it
wasn't long after that. If it wasn't week 1, he missed a lot of time last year.
Yeah, so that's the only reason why I don't put him at an A plus. But they can put anyone in there. I mean, you're completely right with the A plus. They're developmental. And the greatest thing is that D'Amico Ryans, he came from this position. He's been a linebacker, so he's really good at scouting that coaching talent that can make these guys better. So I love it. He says, looking for tickets for Niners versus Raiders. Hope to find some cheap tickets. New Year's gonna be epic. Wait,
not gonna find anything cheap. Not going to find anything cheap, that's for sure.
I was looking for Broncos versus 49ers because I live in 5 hours away from Denver. The tickets they've gone up so much.
Oh, it's
since
insane.
It's since because I remember tickets used to be like sometimes $100. You find them for like up like top
Russell Wilson.
Tickets. Yeah, that's true. And it's Sunday night. Like I didn't find a ticket for lower than 200. It was crazy.
Bro, I'm going to the Bucks Ravens game and I'm taking my family. It was like $900 for the 4 of us. To sit in crap seats. It's so bad.
That's crazy. Grandizer, I believe he came from Payo Time's channel. If you haven't already, check out Payo Time. I did a show with him last Wednesday. That was a lot of fun. So, hey, the Camper Report. Hope all is well. Just saw you live. How was your day? Very good. Getting busy. School, sports, just tough. Tough to fit this in. Cheapest tickets are just under 500. Oh, wow. That's
that is
crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
I mean, it's the premium stadium in the league in Vegas, New Year's Day. That's good luck.
Yeah, that's true. Let's go to see cornerbacks though. What do you have? A lot of injuries here, a lot of unknowns. This is a good position if they stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I hate to keep giving A pluses here, but let's really break this down for a second. Mosley was very, very good last year, right?
Yeah.
And remember, they went into last year with Verrett as the number 1 guy, and most of us were worried about that. We're like, this guy can't stay healthy. Okay, so Lenore's had an extra year to develop. Ambry Thomas an extra year to develop. They seem to have hit the absolute jackpot when it came to Womack. I mean, Womack looks phenomenal. Major upgrade and getting Charvarius Ward to play opposite of Emmanuel
Yeah.
Mosley. And here's the kicker, and this is why it's an A plus. Verrett
Comes
is
back
still on
when?
this team.
Yeah. When does he
He's
come
on
back?
IR, so he's 4 weeks, and he'll be
4 weeks.
back most likely again. So if you have either Mosley or Ward go down, you have another top tier corner that's right there waiting to come in and play. And so for me, the depth on this cornerback room got better than it did any other position by far.
Yeah.
And we're talking like some elite players that they've added. This secondary, at least the cornerback room, good luck. They're really, really good.
Yeah, I do agree. You made a very good point. I'm gonna say B plus. You said what? A plus.
A plus, man. I have to. It may be Homer, but I'm telling you, like, if any spot on this team made leaps and bounds improvements from one year to the next, it was certainly this one.
I think Womack was wow. I don't know how they found him. It just proves that yeah, their scouting department on this side of the ball is really good. But the
Yep.
true test for Womack, I think, is going to be Tyler Lockett. Like that, there's not a lot to. Obviously, it's a rivalry game, but there's not a lot to look forward to for that week 2 Seattle matchup. But the one matchup that I'm going to be looking for is the slot Tyler Lockett versus Womack. I think he's going to do great. I think his speed, his athleticism, I think it's better than K1's. I think,
Yeah.
I think maybe we'll have some bumps and bruises, but out of all the rookies, I feel like he's going to be by far the least. Him and Drake Jackson, he's going to be overshadowed by all these great. He's going to look the best. Him and Drake Jackson will for sure look the best out of all the rookies. But I feel like injuries, I don't know. Verrett, the first 4, like let's just hope that nobody gets injured before week 4. Because if it's before week 4, you could be losing to the week 4 matchup is when? I mean, it's which team? I can't remember it.
So week 3 is Denver. Week 4
Denver.
is the Rams.
Rams. So if that's the last game, Jason Verrett, and I mean, so far the history with this team has been like week 1, we saw a lot of corners go down. So I don't want to be a downer here, but realistically, if somebody gets injured before Emmanuel Mosley, before week 4, when Jason Verrett, you now might have to start Ambry Thomas. Lenore did actually look pretty good. Like he's definitely taken strides, but
Major strides.
I'm still not exactly sold on this. And maybe they move Womack to the outside if one of those guys goes down. Who knows?
Yeah, they could. Lenore could come in and play inside. They have some flexibility here for sure. And I mean, let's say Womack's not really holding it together. Verrett comes back, maybe they kick Mosley inside. So
Yeah.
they have a lot of options here. A lot of options.
They do. And I think this grade for sure can improve. I think if they can work it out, if they worked it out last year, I think they can work it out this year with the D line
Yeah.
being better. I don't think it's a big problem, but B plus, A minus is where I would.
Yeah, I mean,
around.
and the reason I'm not trying to sell you, but I'm going to sell you here.
Okay.
Is so remember last year going into the season. First of all, we were relying heavily on Verrett. Mosley was out. Mosley was hurt. He didn't start the year. He didn't come back, I think, until the
I did forget about
Eagles game, was it? No, not the Eagles game. It was the Packers game. Was his first game back, week 3.
Yes, you are right there. Yep.
So, and then once Verrett went down, they didn't have their number 1 or their number 2 corner for the next week and a half plus or whatever. So it got really dicey really quick. So I think with the depth that they added, and again, Verrett is probably went from being the best corner on this team last year to the third best corner on this team.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty awesome. So
yeah, that it is. It really is. And I think they are, again, this is another position that I feel like is really airtight. And next year, like last year, I look back at last year and I think, wow, this team was dangerously close to having another 2020 year. And then they somehow worked it out. I still think it was a miracle how we worked it out with the corner position, because I don't ever want to see Kirkpatrick in this facility again. That guy,
dude, him and Norman were so bad.
Yeah, man, that was crazy. Let's get to the safeties. Well, real quick though, some hitting the like button to show support. Yes, here from Payo time. Yeah. 9 more subs to 200. Please help the Camper Report reach that by the end of the show. Thank you so much, man.
That'd be awesome.
It's been a long journey for sure. So, yo, big play Slay, shout out him. Go. He's an Eagles fan, as you can see by the name.
Yeah.
So shout out to him. Go subscribe to his channel. A lot of great content there. What's good, my guys? And then Tony Culp, Rams, not sure. Oh, well, yeah, that was in answer to the week 4 matchup. So, but yeah, let's get to the last position, safety. Where do you rank this? This is another one that I would do a little bit low, but what's your opinion?
Yeah, listen, I'm with you. I just gave like A pluses all the way up to this position. This is
Yeah.
where they really kind of messed up. So Jimmy Ward's really good. Really, really good. But he's going to miss the first 4 weeks of this season. Hufanga's unproven. I think at least I look at him and say, I think he can be pretty good in this league, but he's not your ideal size or speed. He's just really, really instinctual and makes plays. And then they've got more coming off of injury. They brought back Gibson onto the practice squad.
Yeah.
They have Odom, who, I mean, hit and miss player in the league, mostly a special teams guy. Maybe he can play some, maybe, yeah. But once Jimmy Ward went down, and instead of bringing back Gibson, they had 2 really good options here. Okay. One of them was bringing back Jaquiski Tart. They could have done that. He just got cut by the Eagles, knows the system, was just here last year as a starter.
They could do that still, right?
They could, but they added 2 safeties to the practice squad. So
True.
Chances are they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
And then even better, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was traded from the Saints to the Eagles. Now, a lot of people are like, we could have went and got Chauncey. Yes, I agree with that. But you didn't have to do that. Anthony Harris, who was a starter for that team, just got cut for the Eagles because they brought in Gardner-Johnson. Anthony Harris is an upgrade over anything we have on this team other than Jimmy Ward. I would have gone out and gotten him. And all offseason, I was banging the drum to get Tyrann Mathieu. That was the one guy that really wanted them to get, man.
Yes.
And they could have made it happen.
Yes.
They didn't even pursue him, it doesn't sound like. To me, I'm going to give this a C-. This is the one defensive position group that I'm just like, what are you doing?
It's going to be masked by a lot of the greatness on the other defensive parts there, but yeah, I got to give it a C. I mean, this they made mistakes there. They still could fix it though, because they still what was the second guy you mentioned?
Anthony Harris.
Anthony Harris. That he's still there, right? So
they could I don't know. I don't know if he signed today.
Here, hold on. Sure. I can. Anyways, I'll make my. I think this is a really hit or miss position, just like the O-line. I think they'll mask it, but and now with Jimmy Ward now going to have to miss 4 weeks, which is something that we're not, I don't think, stressing enough. Now you're looking at your starters being Odom and Hufanga, probably. So that's I don't know. They'll make it work, but this could be that one position that I don't know. I think they could still make it happen though, because they could still cut a player from the practice squad, right? And then bring in.
Yeah, they can. So Anthony Harris signed to the practice squad for the Eagles, but he can. I think you can go steal him. So either him or, like I said, Jaquiski Tart would be an upgrade over anything they got. And I don't know if Tart signed with anybody, but I gotta imagine he probably didn't.
Yeah. David Villa says Womack, baby. Yeah, that was crazy. I don't know how we got this guy. Womack, wow. That's a 5th round gem. I mean, if you look back in the years and look at all those, like you have Emmanuel Mosley, Womack, Burford was 4th round. I'm trying to think of any other 5th round or near there gems that we got. That was big. That was big. Yeah. And a guy 5th round, like, could turn out like that's usually a developmental player, but this guy looks like he can play right away. I still want to see him against some of the best slot receivers. We're going to see it week 2. Lockett, We're going to see Cooper Kupp week 4.
Yeah.
Week
Yeah.
3, we're going to see, let's see, KJ Hamler with the Broncos. He's pretty good. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of exciting, a lot of tests earlier on to see what he's made of, but I'm confident in him. So see on this player. I'll quickly name out though. So we're done with grading the players. I just wanted to quickly name out the practice squad though. We named them mostly Jason Poe, Kimiko Toure, Malik Turner, Tashawn Gibson, safety Tashawn Gibson, Marcelino McCrary Ball, Willie Snead, which is interesting. I was surprised that I guess he's pretty old. Quantrez Knight, he was a guy who did pretty good. Tay Martin, Alex Barrett, who actually had himself a nice little camp.
Yeah, he
Taylor
did.
Hawkins, that's a safety that could be coming up really quickly. Keaton Sutherland, Akeem Spence, Alfredo Gutierrez. So those are the 13 now that we have on the practice squad. So
yeah, they did a good job. The only player that I think people really liked was Tariq Castro Fields. He's like the only one that didn't somehow make it back on this team. So all in all, they did pretty damn good. Yeah, they did a good job filling out this roster. It's just, to me, it's the offensive line. Like, that's the one.
Yeah. And when I saw Toure back on that practice squad, I was like, what? Like, wow. So they did do a really good job. It turned out pretty good. We'll see though. Thank you so much for coming on, Jesse. This has been a lot of fun. And thank you for everyone in the chats. David Villa, Tony Culp, Big Play Slay, Grandizer. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I'll be back on Saturday, probably with Rich Keltz. Go check him out. And Amin the Dream, he just had a show as well. So that should be fun. And then I'll probably take a little bit of a break because of school. But I'll be back week 1 after that show. So everyone, thank you for watching. This has been a lot of fun. Clap it up for Jessie Naylor. We'll see you guys again soon. Real quick, David Villa, think Mosley will be a most improved player this year. Yeah, I think he's going to look really good. Last year, I kind of feel like he's now going to be having all the number 2 receivers instead of the number 1s. I think it's going to look good.
Yeah, but the thing is he looked so damn good last year. I mean, you go look at his numbers. I don't think he gave up a single touchdown. Like, he looked really good.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, so everyone, this has been a lot of fun. We'll see you guys again soon in the next one on Saturday. Go subscribe, JNA, Last Second Sports.